Take three. Take three. All right. Thanks for coming back. And thanks for those of you who are patient enough to figure this out. It's time to just start drawing. So hopefully you've been drawing this whole time and you said, you know what, Gregory, we just don't really need your guidance in how to draw this stuff. We're just going to go on and start doing it. And that's an ugly line. So yeah, so the idea is just draw whatever is nearby, whatever clutter you have on your table, just draw some of the elements. And I'm drawing this lighter. Third time is ideally the charm. Yes, yes, Mary, I hope so. So yes, all right, I'm going to have to shake off the irritation and embarrassment of the last couple minutes and try and get back into the zone of drawing. Hopefully you are still with me and we are enjoying ourselves, just drawing any old thing that comes to hand. I'm drawing this strange device, which is a barbecue lighter. Thank you for your patience. Yeah. I enjoy drawing this sort of kind of nondescript stuff, you know, and then also thinking about like, well, what's the actual significance of this thing? You know, is there a story behind this particular item? In my case, there is, because this is something kind of new to me, which is needing a lighter like this. I've never needed one before, really. It is sort of an alien creature to me. So studying it in a drawing is nice, and getting to know it a bit. Never had to use a sort of barbecue lighter like this before. Oops. But now I do. So there you go. Okay, so this I'm gonna name it. Oh, I'm not gonna actually name it like calling it Bob or something, but I'm gonna call it Bob Barbecue. Zoom in a bit. Barbecue. You know, something I've been thinking about, which is, I think I mentioned this last week, that while I have kept a diary at various points in my life, I haven't really been doing it during this period. And I mentioned that to Jenny this weekend. I said, have you been keeping a diary at all? And she said, yeah. I thought, really? I, I guess I haven't. And she said, well, if you've been making these videos every day, maybe that'll be your diary you can look back on. But I do feel like I want to capture some of this stuff. I do want to capture it. And so I might sit down in the next few days and start writing some things down. So, so yes, I do have a fireplace, but we also have a barbecue and we have a fire pit, all of which require, you know. So yes, welcome back. And I hope you'll start drawing with me. That's sort of the idea of this. Do some drawing. Draw whatever comes to hand. So there I've drawn that barbecue lighter. I'm going to write some more notes to myself about this. We need to fire up the Handwriting's disintegrating a bit. Barbecue, fireplace. It's supposed to get quite cold here in the next couple days. They're saying it might go down to the 60s, which is, I guess, ungodly cold for Phoenix, and it's supposed to rain a bit, so we might be needing this implement somewhat for that in the next few days. We'll see. All right, now let's move on. Let's draw something else. Some books, yes. I miss my books in New York, I really do. I have my Kindle with me, and I have my my connection to the New York Public Library via a device called Libby. Libby is a device that it's a sort of a service, I guess you'd call it, that the New York Public Library offers that allows you to borrow ebooks and also some recorded books too, audiobooks. And we've been availing ourselves of Libby's prodigious offerings for a while now, but we noticed that suddenly in the last couple of weeks, they've gone from, you used to be able to borrow like as many books as I think you could borrow on your library card, which was like 12. Now they've cut it back and you can only borrow 3. I mean, we're used to going to the library and returning with armfuls of books. Armfuls. Not armfuls, bags full. Literally, my wife and I will come back with 20 books. And we won't necessarily read all of them, but it's certainly nice to, if you see a book that's even vaguely interesting, grab it and decide. And worst comes to worst, you take it back a week or so later. But no. Now it's down to 3. That is painful. Painful. So I did bring just 2 books with me. Actual books. And they're both books I've read before, but I felt like I might want to read them on what I laughingly called a vacation. When we left New York for a couple days, for a long weekend. So I thought I'll take a couple books. So here they are, my 2 books. This house that we rented actually has a bunch of books in it. I don't know. I haven't really looked at them yet. So they may have to tide us over between the measly offerings of Libby. But actually, come to think of it, this just occurred to me just a second, and it's very good news if it's possible to accomplish. We now can be members of the Phoenix Public Library, as well as the New York Public Library. So that could be a very good thing. That could be a very good thing. A whole new library system to attack. I love libraries. Big fan of a book that came out last year called The Library Book. If you haven't read it, I would recommend it strongly. It is ostensibly the history of the LA library system. And that may sound kind of strange and niche to you. What? Why do I care about the LA library system, for God's sake? But if you love books, there's a lot you're going to learn from it. It has a tragedy at its center, which is an enormous fire that happened there. But it also talks a lot about the role of the library and the history of the library and a lot of other things that are pretty cool. So I think although the iPad is offering me an infinite whoops, an infinite palette. I'm not. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it minimal. I'm only going to work in black and white today. So this book, How to Fly a Horse, is an interesting kind of book about really the role of creative people in history and the stories of a lot of ways that they went about inventing things. And I don't know, I don't remember it that well. I read it 5 years ago, maybe longer. And so I thought that would be a good thing to revisit. I do remember it being quite well written, so I will dive back. And I'm always interested in books on creativity. It's sort of my field, I guess, too. So have I discovered KJZZ? I think so. We went for a drive yesterday. We drove to my in-laws, my brother and sister-in-laws, some property that they own up in the mountains, and so we drove and we listened to the radio. I generally have been avoiding news of any kind these days. I just find it. I know the basics. I'm just not interested in having too much discussion about stuff. But so I did listen to it a little bit. It's just, I don't know. I'm not trying to live in denial, but I am also trying to avoid unnecessary exposure to too much stuff. I don't know how you're feeling about that, but feels like the most important information I got about this whole situation I got in the first few days, and that was wash your hands and stay away from people. So far that's worked. And knowing all the other theories that are out there hasn't been that helpful to me. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm missing some incredibly important thing that I should know about or don't. Yeah. So I'm going to be spending some time today sitting outside and reading these books, I think. Right? Okay, what else can we put on this page? Next thing I wanted to draw, some soap. I like this Myers soap. This particular one is olive oil. It's lemon verbena scented. So I think I'm going to just do a quick drawing of that little bottle. My hands are clean these days, that's for damn sure. And between huge amounts of soap and the dry air of Phoenix, my hands have been transformed from the lily white, delicate things they used to be into a pair of sandpaper covered baseball mitts. But it's a small price to pay for survival. One of the hallmarks to me of this period we're living through is how many times you say and experience and do things that you never thought you couldn't even imagine having done or thought or said, and now suddenly, yeah, they were doing them all the time, all of us. Weird things. Yeah. Somebody asked when I moved to Phoenix. Well, I didn't really move to Phoenix. I found myself in Phoenix, and now I find myself in Phoenix for quite a while. But we will get back to New York eventually, but not in the short term. Okay, next I'm going to draw this remote. We've not actually been watching that much TV. Last night we got to this new house. We're like, oh, let's watch some TV. You know what we ended up watching? Not Tiger King. Nope. We ended up watching Law and Order. I haven't watched Law and Order in ages, but there's something about it that's very comforting. You know? Don't you find? Something, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because it's a New York thing, you know? You're seeing New York and it's, you know, I miss it, and it's a chance to see Lenny Briscoe and all those real New York characters and character actors, and I don't know. That was the ticket. So we watched one episode that I think was from 1992, probably, and you know, the people still had those '80s hairstyles and shoulder pads and cars and stuff like that, and it was just nice. It felt like the right thing to do. I guess it's kind of like a lot of people have been watching Friends, which was never something I particularly had watched, but that seemed to be a thing. I don't know if that's motivated by a similar thing. It seemed like a lot of millennials who never watched Friends in the first time. You know, Friends was like probably made before they were born, but they have gotten into it. And I don't know, TV shows. Just don't want anything particularly challenging. That's been a relaxing option. Seeing people murder each other, much more relaxing than anything else I could think of. So yeah, so we've been, you know, we'll maybe get around to watching more TV. I don't know. It's we, I don't know. There you go. All right, what else should we draw? Oh, there's some pencils here. I'm gonna draw a few pencils to kind of maybe fill in the composition a bit. I got this whole set of pencils from my sister-in-law's house, and haven't used them that much yet, but they are. She said, "Oh yeah, I'll never use those." So I thought, okay, I'll take them. At various points, um, my in-laws have been interested in making art stuff, taking a class here and there. I was outraged to find out that my niece had signed up for some other company's online watercolor class. I was like, what? Are you serious? There are other people who teach watercolor lessons online? Didn't even know there was such a thing. I thought we invented that. But no, turned out she had. She was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot that you guys do that." I said, "Okay, good. You're out of the will." That's all it took. And finally, I found this kind of weird pencil sharpener as I was scrounging around for art supplies. So I think I'll draw that too. It is, never seen the like of it before, but it is, I think it's actually meant for like a carpenter's pencil or something. It's very beefy. It has these ribs on it for some reason. I might I might write some more stuff in here to kind of fill out this composition, but that's sort of it. So Jean, let me just go back and talk to you in person here. John Willem van Dronkelaar is thinking of joining a more classical portrait drawing course. More classical than people drawing people? People drawing people is I mean, we even, I think, use classical music at some point in it. But by all means, go out there, find out what other people do. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter where you take classes. Just take them. Mills wants to get it, but also wants to take our colored pencil class. It's a great class. You'll learn from a whole bunch of different artists about how they use colored pencils, and it's surprising. Colored pencils is sort of the medium that you think you know. It's a pencil. It's got some color in it. How hard can that be? There's a lot of stuff to learn. Mr. Chinchilla is working on dining table stuff on the back of a calendar. That's good. Yeah. It doesn't have to be precious. You don't have to have amazing art supplies at your beck and call. You can just work on whatever you have at hand, and so forth. What else are people watching here? Karen is watching The X-Files and Star Trek, yes. I vaguely watched both. I haven't watched either in detail. But anyway. Corinne says she doesn't want to listen or read anything particularly challenging. I think this is a time to be good to yourself. It's a good time to be good to other people, too. You don't have to sort of advance yourself particularly. You just need to be good to yourself. You need to try things out, but push yourself if you feel like that's going to make you feel good, if you're going to feel a sense of accomplishment. But I think a lot of us have thought that, oh, we have all this spare time on our hands. We've got to make the most of it. We've got to reinvent ourselves and so forth. And again, somewhat true. I mean, it is an opportunity to do that. And this is a time of transformation. So you could allow yourself to be transformed, but not if it makes you feel miserable. Not if you feel like you are failing at it. So similarly, when it comes to ideas, I think expose yourself to new ideas, by all means. Talk about them with your friends. Share them here if you want to. But again, don't feel compelled to advance in some way. You don't need to. You don't need to. Nobody's going to be. You don't need to impress anybody these days. You just need to get through it. People, Esmeka has been watching a lot of YouTube and Instagram on a cell phone. That's interesting. That's probably a good use of time. Corinne is making masks with her sewing machine. Hope you'll get beyond that and start to sew some other cool things. Fabric arts, that whole world of textile arts is very interesting. Deborah is reading Star Wars books. May the Force be with you as well. I've never read a Star Wars book. I've seen a lot of movies. I actually read a book earlier this week that was written by a guy who wrote a lot of the Star Wars books. It was a very weird book. It was about, I can't try to remember the name of it, but it was about a woman who invents a technology that allows people to not teleport, but be put into other people's bodies. So you're in your body, and then your brain and your memories go into somebody else's body, and how the invention of this technology completely changes the world's economy, because suddenly you can go anywhere, do anything by just popping into other people's bodies. And that guy wrote a lot of Star Wars books. So Valerie's watching the entire collection of The West Wing. I don't know if I could bear that. I mean, I love The West Wing, but it always makes me very sad these days watching that. Over the last 3 years watching that. Miss Marple, Hallmark movies, Call the Midwife, public TV in general. We were watching Antiques Roadshow. All My Children, interesting. The Leftovers, yeah, The Leftovers. Leftovers might be going too far. Leftovers is sort of a post-apocalyptic kind of show. Might be too much. So, NCIS. Yes, I think procedural things feel comforting. They have an ending. They have resolution. So sit down on a regular basis and do some drawing too. Draw while you watch TV. Why not? Particularly if you're watching sort of things that are familiar, you can afford to do both. I think just sitting with a sketchbook on your lap or your iPad on your lap is a nice kind of companion to have. Father Brown, Discworld. I've read a few Terry Pratchett's Discworlds. And then there's Tiger King. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Tiger King made us feel better. Did Tiger King make us feel better? No, she didn't. You know what I have seen? And maybe this is just the New York Public Library, but Harry Potter. The entire book, they've been sort of pushing that. I've actually been reading a book now, which is part of a New York Public Library book club, which is called... it's called Minister King Kong, and it's a novel about people living in the projects in Brooklyn in the 1960s. Not sure why I brought that up. It's probably not relevant to most people, but it's really well written. Anyway, and then there's Scrabble. It's true. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are not happy about Tiger King. Yeah, it's one of those things I'm now filled a bit with regret at the time we spent watching it. Doesn't seem like a good thing to be doing. It is interesting though how my points of view about things have been changing a bit over each week, like what I want to do and how I see things. I think definitely the things that we're interested in, all that stuff has definitely changed over time, each day, each week. And I think, to me, getting back to making stuff and drawing just for its own sake, not to push yourself, but just because of the comfort of like coloring books on a rainy day. I feel like that's something that is good. Thanks for joining me today. I'm sorry about the fact that we've hopped from location to location. It won't happen again tomorrow, I promise. And I'm just relieved that my Wi-Fi worked here today in this new situation I find myself in. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you again hopefully tomorrow, and we will do some more of this, and we'll pass some more time together. And I would suggest that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, because if all else fails, at least YouTube will tell you that we're here, where we are, and that we're here. Similarly on Facebook, if you like the Sketchbook School news page, if you like it, then Facebook will tell you that we're on, because I'm pushing this out to YouTube and Facebook. And if you have made anything today you want to share, please use the hashtag SBS Drawing Party. I think that's correct, SBS Drawing Party. And then I'll be able to see what you've done. And maybe I'll see you in the schoolyard. Have a great day. See you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.